All right, and your beloved Dallas Cowboys fall to the Detroit Lions 44-30, coming off of a great stretch that the Dallas Cowboys had between the three games and then falling short on Thursday Night Football. I'm Slater, and I got my co-host Mike here. Let's just get right into it. Obviously, the game did not go our way. This game was really hyped up for Cowboys fans, knowing what we were able to reach and be able to potentially start getting ahead on the playoff race, but Dallas fell short. Seemed they fought really well actually, but they just did not have enough on the defensive side to calm down Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams. So I'll kick it off to you. Give me kind of initial reaction, how you feel about what happened that Thursday night.
Yeah, man, it's disappointing. It really is. I thought for the most part, on offense, they played pretty decently. I remember us talking before the game and the pregame, and we said, it was going to be one of two ways this was going to turn out, and it was either going to be, a back and forth. Everybody's doing their job, not a ton of penalties, good execution, and just two really good teams playing each other, and the best team wins. Or it was going to be Dallas shows up, does a bunch of sloppy, stupid things. Because they're so talented, they're always kind of around at the end of the game, and that's what they did. 44-30 is the final score. The game was close a couple of times due to simply just Dallas really trying to hang in there as best as they can. But when you're playing a team that's also desperate and is equally as loaded as you are talent wise, you cannot shoot yourself in the foot with interceptions and turnovers. And the biggest thing for both of us, we thought, was uh, field position.
Yeah,
The special teams play was significant in this game. And we
I
talked about that.
yeah, I really think you nailed it on that one because you brought it up. You said field possession will be the biggest key, and it felt like every time Detroit got the ball, they were starting at either their 40 or our 50 or on our side of the field, and it really came down and hurt us because one or two first downs, like you were calling out during the game while we were watching it, the Lions all of a sudden have field goal range. And, at that point, you're getting points every time off of just one or two first downs, not making them work for it, not making them start at their own 20, 25. And then on the flip side of it, even our own return units were just not getting the ball to set up our offense. We were struggling really to get past the 35, didn't take no
Yeah.
touchbacks. So credit to Detroit on the field possession game because it really helped them out from beginning to end. Even like you said, I mean, it got close. We got within three, but just the whole time, like I don't even know how the game stayed close. It just felt like we were
Yeah.
getting beaten down the whole entire time. I felt no momentum. I felt no like, hey, like we're in this. We just got to bounce back. It never felt that way. And it started off with who you called out again was Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Jahmyr Gibbs really dominated the field, and it wasn't even his rushing that hurt you. It was his receiving game, taking everything in the flats and then juking people. Deron Bland is being made fun of on social media right now for the one, and then just other plays like that. And then on top of all that, as soon as you think you got him, somehow Jamison Williams is ending up on Marquise Bell and then just burning us. But it's been a repeated situation all year. Our secondary has struggled to contain when we have them in distances longer than 15 for some reason. Every time a team has a first and 15, first and 25 or something like that, we are somehow managing to give them all those yards back, and whether it's in one or two plays, we don't even get to like third down in that situation. So it is definitely disappointing, but there was some really good hope with our offense. Again, our offense can sling with anybody. Our offense is gonna fight with anybody. And the sad thing is, the only reason why our offense even came up short towards the end was just because both our tackles, Nate Thomas and Terrence Steele, just decided to let up a bunch of sacks that they shouldn't have, and it just happens, man. And credit to Detroit, man. Like we talked about, Dan Campbell's teams, they always are ready to show up, and they are always ready to fight. So gotta give it to them.
Yeah, it's rough. Clowney being out really hurt. I definitely noticed a difference in the defense's output with him not being on the field. Uh, you know, Aside from the special teams and the field positioning and things like that, the other thing that I really didn't like, and this is the most significant thing when I'm thinking about the game,
Yep.
we're really good at what we do. We have plays that really, really work. And I saw all of those plays that we've been running all year with success. But when you watch a team that has the ability to do those things, not do anything to change it up, to add a variation, a little wrinkle, you know, just just where you're lining up, or who's going to run that route, or anything. Those were the ones where we got bit on.
Yeah.
They were hanging all over Pickens. The slants were there, but they know they were coming. So
Yeah.
it was just a matter of timing. And if you know it's coming, you can interfere with the catch, you can interfere with the route, and that happened. I think we got an interception on that. And then earlier in the year, there was a time when we needed to get down to kick a field goal, and Dak throws that seam route laser to Ferguson, and it gets us in range. I think it was the one of the field goals, either against the Giants or
Yeah, it
Green
was
Bay or
that
something
game
like that.
tying one against the
Yes,
Giants.
yes, we ran that exact same play. And that stuff's on film. So I'm sure good coaches went back and looked at what do we do when we really got to have this, when we really got to have that. And as soon as that pass was picked off, I was like, I knew that was going to happen, because they're sitting on that because they know that's our go to route. Because, yes, we execute it very, very well, and we've been able to do it time and time and time again. But your luck's eventually going to run out, and they had no answer for their luck running out. It's like at some point you got to plan ahead and think that teams are going to study you enough to kind of know what's coming, and you have to change it up just a little bit. It's like if Pickens is the one we're expecting to run the slant route, maybe put somebody else over there in that slant route and put Pickens on the right and stack him over there on the inside of Lamb, and just throw him off and try the slant route with Flournoy, or try the slant route with Turpin, just to do something different, and it didn't work out. I get that. It's easy to go back and think we should have done this, we should have done that. But we were in the game. I thought we were playing well. My reasoning for why we lost the game wasn't because Detroit's just that much better. It was that we shot ourselves in the foot multiple times. We had turnovers. We had a lot of penalties, big penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And we could not stop Jahmyr Gibbs when we needed to stop him. We could stop him, but when it came down to somebody's got to make a play or he's got to make a play, he made a play. And that's really unfortunate. But that's been this whole season. Anytime there is a team that has the ability to utilize their running back more than just in the A, B, C, or the out, and by that I mean in the flats as well. Anytime we've faced an offense that has the capacity to really utilize their flats, we've had a little bit of struggle stopping the running backs.
Yeah.
If they try to do anything in the middle, but in the seams in the box, we're going to shut them down. But this was just a team that really does have a pocket quarterback who just feeds the ball out as quickly as possible, and you take whatever you can get. And eventually, somebody's going to get to their spot too slow, somebody's going to slip, somebody's going to miss a tackle, and you're going to break one. And that's exactly what happened to us. It doesn't mean Dallas is bad. It doesn't mean that we're not a playoff caliber team. It just means that, don't shoot yourself in the foot and execute better, and you can win that game.
Yeah.
44-30 is the final score, but it's not like, they were ahead by 14 the whole game. Like you
Yeah.
said, there was twice that we brought it within 3. It only ended up that way with the 2 touchdown lead at the end, just because of a turnover. So it's just
Yeah.
it's just sad to see Dallas play so well and execute against 2 really, really good opponents, and then just play horribly versus Detroit and still have been competitive. It just tells you that it's there. It's there. Fix it,
Yeah.
and you can overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the game of football. You cannot go out there and turn the ball over. You can't be penalized. Like that is what happened to us all last year, and that's what happened to us early part of the season was just your execution. And you execute really well the past 3 games coming off of the bye week and the trade deadline, and that has the ability to propel you into situations where you win. Like, against Philadelphia, even though you're down 21-0, you became perfect in every aspect the rest of the way. Now, did you need some help? Yes, you did, but you got it from your defense. Against the Chiefs, again, you were perfect most of the way. You never turned the ball over, and you never gave the ball back, and that's the reason why we squeaked out of that one. But
Yeah,
against Detroit, you gave them the opportunity to have a lead, whether it was, 10 at some points or 2 possession leads, and they do what they do best. They burn the clock out from under you, and Jared Goff is a quick throw or looking for quick passes because they had a game plan going into it. They saw 5-man fronts.
absolutely.
They see blitzers coming. They're not holding on to the ball. They're not going to let you sack them. They know you don't have a Micah Parsons over there or anything like that to really kind of get off you quick, but they do know interior pressure wise, we did have it. So that's why it was like 1-2, ball's gone. How many times did we see Kenny Clark or Osa or even
Just
Quinn
missing.
Williams be a step or two away from sacking them? But their play design was on purpose to get the ball out quick. They weren't trying to sit in the pocket all day because they knew we had the pressure to get there. But they knew that we didn't have the secondary to hold on long enough.
Nobody
So,
does.
yeah, nobody does. Not when you're throwing that quick. But
Right.
it just became one of those things where once you gave them the lead, they really could capitalize on what they wanted to do. They could run the ball, they could do whatever they wanted. They just had to eat the clock out from under this offense and then hopefully slowly sustain that defense down to put points up on the board, whether it was 3 or 7. I will say I felt, and I kept calling it out. It felt like Schottenheimer's play calling was a little too conservative at the beginning. There
Hmm.
wasn't much of not necessarily looking for like fireworks and deep bombs the whole time, but like you said, it just felt, the slant, like you felt like what was coming. He wanted to get the slant to Pickens and all that. There was no
Yeah.
creativity of maybe moving that around or, getting CD the ball and trying to get somewhere. Now, once the first quarter ended, he started dialing it up, and CD was going on for a huge game. Like he started having it until the concussion happened, and unfortunate for him. I hope he recovers very fast, and we can have him for the next game, and hopefully he's not out for a couple of games. But after that, and once CD went down, it kind of became a mess where you're just relying on anybody you can. And credit to Ryan Flournoy, that guy had a huge game. He stepped in for when CD went down, and when Pickens became the one again, and we saw flashes of it before against the Jets and all that. But this was another game where he's like racking up all the catches, stats, even that wide open touchdown.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positives to take from this team. A lot of
Yeah.
people are going to bail out, but that's just Cowboys fans. There's Cowboys fans out there that bail out after one bad pass. They're all on the Dak train, and he throws a pick that's really not even his
Yeah.
fault. It just
Right.
popped up, and
Right.
they're ready to bail. So there's a lot of good foundation pieces on this team. Now, when it comes to this year, you're going to need help. You're going to need other teams to step up for you and to win. Or you hope Philadelphia just crumbles and, you win out. But you're going to have to win out to even think about playoffs or talk about it. So, my question for you was, did you agree with the Brian Schottenheimer conservative play calling and all that?
That was going to be my next point.
Okay.
Uh, so here's the way I look at this, and this is just my opinion. So it could be wrong. You could agree with it. You may not. But and here's my only criticism of Schottenheimer so far. Yes, for this particular game, I do feel like, is it a question of conservative or is it a question of, one, was did he do anything different to throw off a team that was going to be very, very prepared for him? They're
Yeah.
at home. They don't have to travel. They get the extra time to study us and know our plays and know what we do, because we do what we do every time. It's expected. In thinking, you should know to have something different to present or disguise or trick them or whatever. So that's one point. The second point is this. I've watched every game we've played this year, and it just seems like to me, Schottenheimer coaches to what's happening on the scoreboard at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the game's, a one score game, or the game is a three point game, or a 7 point game, or a 10-3, 7-0, 7-7, or whatever, he only does just enough to get what he needs. And I think against a team like this, where you're coming into their stadium, you're on the road, it's a huge game, you have to do to them what Green Bay did to Dallas in the playoffs. You
Yeah.
have to just come in and you have to play full throttle. Every good thing you can do, you have to do it early and often. Don't just go through all your old motions that you've used in your boxing match here all year long. As the quarters and the games have progressed, you needed to come in there and throw your best players out, your best routes, your best runs right in the beginning of the game, and try to get three scores in as quickly as humanly possible, just to take some of the thunder out of them. Because as the game wears on, especially when you're on the road in Detroit, you're going to lose your players. They're going to start fatiguing. It's a very physical game there. They're going to get tired. Things are going to become less crisp. Tackling is going to get a little bit worse. Things are going to suffer. So you have to give everything you have up front to win a game like that. And I just didn't feel like we were doing that. I feel like we got comfortable when the game was 3-3, and then boom, we hit a big turnover. They caught a heater of momentum, and then now we're in desperation mode to try to keep up the rest of the game.
Yeah.
When from the start, it should have been everybody put everything you have into these run plays, and we're just going to cram it down their throat for the first couple of drives and beat them up. And we didn't do that. You beat them up, beat them up, beat them up, and then you throw a bomb to one of our really good wide receivers. I feel like they were underutilized in this game because we were a little bit conservative about possibly getting a turnover. And then what happens? We get turnovers anyway. So it's like
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to risk it all and win it all. And I didn't feel like we
Hmm.
did that. I feel like we played a little too conservative because we were just trying to stay with the momentum of the game instead of creating the momentum of the game.
Yeah. And do you feel like that's something during like maybe the Philly game and the Chiefs game that Schottenheimer did very well, or is it in particular all year kind of thing? I'm just curious. I'm just curious on what you look like from the larger scope outside the game.
I feel like that's what's been happening all year is that
Okay.
we've played conservative to not lose the game. You know, and the two games we won against Philadelphia and Kansas City were very unique. You're down 21-0. What's the worst that could happen at that point?
Yeah.
It's halftime, you're down 21-7. Everybody's expecting you're going to lose. The Eagles are like, "Oh, we're so good. There's no way that they can come back and beat us. So we're just gonna, we're just gonna do what we do. Everything's gonna come together. They'll score, they'll fight, but we're gonna make our plays and do our little, turnarounds and dump offs and check downs, and we'll win." And when that's your attitude, and your opponent's attitude is, we ain't got nothing to lose, so let's just do what we do, and we'll just air this thing out. We'll just take every risk we can, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then bang, 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 we win that game. Okay, so now everybody's in this big, huge high. Now we're home again. We're hosting the Chiefs. It's Thursday, Thanksgiving football, which is Dallas's thing. If any team is familiar with it, it's Dallas. This is nothing out of the box for us. So you're living off of the momentum of that last game. So everybody's already assuming you're going to lose to Mahomes,
Yeah.
and it just carried over. So it was like an 8-quarter game instead of two 4-quarter games. It was just an 8-quarter game versus two different opponents. It feels like to me. So I don't really count those two as far as the aggression of it goes, because I don't feel like we ever had to be super, super aggressive other than that second half of the Philadelphia game being down, by
Yeah.
2 scores. So, but this one, I just think the attitude should have been come in, use all the best plays we have while everybody's 100%, and just try to run them off the field immediately. I did not want to get into a long slugfest with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's their game.
Especially when we're providing them turnovers. Had we not provided the turnovers, gosh, we still hung around and fought with them pretty good for a while. It's not like they were just running over us.
That's true.
We did okay. If we could have been able to just not give them so many good opportunities, it could have been a different outcome. So next time in that situation, it's like when you're at the win loss record that you have, man, just go in there and just slap them in the face.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think you nailed it on that one. Just why not go out there and be aggressive, and why not instead of rolling with the momentum, like have that second half Philly mentality, right? And just ride that high of like, hey, we've got the best two wide receivers in the NFL. Let's just air it out.
Let them make a play.
Speaking, yeah, speaking of our two best wide receivers, what do you think about the social media George Pickens criticism? Do you think it's too much? I mean, are they right? I mean, what's your opinion on it? And
I
I'll
got to
give you
be
mine.
honest with you. You know my standpoint on listening to sports talk when Dallas loses.
Yeah,
I don't do it for 4 days. I don't listen to it. I don't acknowledge it. I'm only talking about this because, it's what we do on this podcast and there's football on today. But up until this very moment, I have not watched any media on the NFL outside of what's been provided in content on the games. So I just, I think that we almost have too much media sometimes, you
yeah,
know,
no, for sure.
and it's overbearing to the team. These guys have been talking about St. Pickens for 3 weeks in a row, and because he played a tough game against a tough conference opponent and was double and triple covered almost the entire game, they want to say, oh, he's overrated, or he's not thinking about staying in Dallas, or whatever it is. We're just going to totally waffle on our opinion of him. Well, not here.
Yeah, no, for
Not
sure.
here.
I
I
agree.
am thankful we have George Pickens. I am thankful we have CeeDee Lamb. I am thankful we have Dak Prescott. We have Javonte Williams. We have our team. You're going to lose. Good teams lose football games to other good teams. And admit it or not, Detroit's a good football team.
Yeah,
Chicago and Green Bay are both good football teams, but somebody's got to win. That's just the way it goes. And we didn't win. But does that mean George Pickens is the reason? No. I
yeah,
think George Pickens wanted to win the game. I think he played with the intention that he was going to win against his opponent on the field. I don't doubt that. The big mouths that want to create a good story and ride off the heat of that, cool, good for them. I'm not buying. I'm not buying. So
yeah.
I'm ready to for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, George Pickens, love him. You're not gonna see no criticism at me from here because he's been nothing but what you brought him in to do. Everyone called him a
Right.
risk, and everyone said he was gonna be nothing to you. He's gonna have such a most personal personnel problems. He's gonna be a
Yeah.
locker room cancer,
Yeah.
and he's been nothing but great for Dallas. And now,
Yeah.
like you said last week, we were talking about how are we even going to pay George Pickens, and now people are talking about like it's like the league wants Dallas to not have nice things. Like they want
Yeah.
George Pickens to walk, so then they can do the same thing like they did with Micah Parsons and just
Yeah.
ridicule us the whole time
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
So the media is hoping that we let George Pickens walk,
a
and
hundred
those higher
percent.
up guys. They want him to walk so then he can go somewhere else to get paid and do the awesome things that he's provided for us this year.
Right.
And they'd be like, "Oh, well, there goes Dallas again. Jerry don't pay nobody. Jerry don't make no
Yeah.
moves." And
Yeah.
it is what it is. So I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth him. The only person I may badmouth from here on out, it may be Turpin again, but Turpin's still in my good graces because of the fumble
Yeah. I'm
recovery.
seeing. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm seeing stuff like oh, they lost. Oh, well, they should have paid Parsons. And it's like, what the hell does Parsons got to do with any of this? What is Michael Parsons going to do that our team couldn't do that day?
Parsons,
It
look, at
wouldn't
the
have
end of the
made
day,
a difference. We didn't lose the game because we didn't have Micah Parsons. I guarantee you that. We
we
lost the
lost
game
the
because
game.
we shot
Yeah.
ourselves in the foot.
Shot
You know?
ourselves in the foot, and we have a secondary that is just it's not necessarily like our corners and stuff. It's really our safeties and that one other linebacker with Overshown. You know, Kenneth Murray killed us. There was
Yes.
multiple times where he's flowing the wrong way. You know, he's watched the highlights of some of
Yeah.
Jameer Gibbs' big runs. One I'll call out in particular is he comes right. Well, let me face it this way. I'm the Detroit Lions offense. Jameer Gibbs is run to the right between the guard and the tackle, or the center and the guard. It's either the A or B gap. And Kenneth Murray starts stepping that way, and then all of a sudden he goes the opposite way and gets blocked
Yeah.
out by the guard coming across. And it's like, what are you doing? Look,
That's
Dallas, we
just good
need to play.
preparation by Detroit to expose us in those situations. We got linebackers that, first off, our secondary, our guys are fine. They're doing their
Yeah,
jobs. They're covering the wide receivers. But you're
mismatches.
trying, yeah, you're trying to put Bland on a very big, strong, elusive running back when it should be a linebacker containing the flats in most case scenarios. There are times where that's different, but it's just a mismatch, and we weren't prepared for that. And that's what's going to happen to you. So I wouldn't blame the secondary for the loss. Every good passing team is going to have their guys that they're going to get the ball to no matter what. We do. Dallas does too. We can feed Pickens and Lamb all day long, and you cannot stop it for the entire game. But this team was just built so uniquely versus what our defense is uniquely designed to do that we either had to play at a higher level or we had to stay in the game without shooting ourselves in the foot and giving turnovers. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, we couldn't do either one. We had
no.
turnovers, and we couldn't step up on defense, and that's what happened.
Yeah. I'm ready for the Kenneth Murray experiment to be over. I wish they would give Logan
Put a
Wilson
youngin
all those
in.
snaps. I
Yeah.
don't know why they're still trying to force and start him. I'm hoping maybe this film right here is like, hey, like, sorry Murray, we've tried it. You know, even though you're the green dot, Logan Wilson can. I just would like to see Logan Wilson for more snaps, so I know what I have in him. So then when we go into the offseason and whatever happens, and we're scouting, like, what's more realistic for Dallas to get? Do they need to go get a safety? Do they need to go get, a corner, which I don't think is needed? Or do they need to go get a linebacker to put with Overshown? Because Overshown is very promising. He's still showing promising things. He's flying out to the flats. He hits people real hard, but Kenneth Murray, he doesn't read. And so I
Right.
need to know if Logan Wilson's going to be on this team for another couple years. Is he the guy that you need to pair with Overshown, or is he really like a third stringer at this point, and that's why Cincinnati got rid of him? I want to know
Right.
what we have in him. Obviously Quinn Williams, he's sorry. I'm gonna go into a new topic here. I just
Sure.
want to talk about people that are bad mouthing this team. This team is really good. Look at all your losses this year and tell me that not all those teams are fine for playoff spots right now. Carolina, Chicago, Green Bay, who as we're filming just became the top dog in their division. Who else we lost to? I've got two more. Detroit. All right, and then
Hmm.
what's our sixth one? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But anyways,
What
the
have you
point
said?
being is huh?
Who all did you say?
I got Chicago, the Panthers, Packers. Well, Packers was a tie, but and
Cardinals.
the Cardinals, which they're not a playoff team, but that
No, no, no. But these are all of our losses.
yeah. So, but majority of our losses have been the playoff teams this year, except with the exception of one or two. And that Cardinals one is really the first half of the year. You have to put it up to like injuries. Like
Broncos.
I don't know how to put it. We were so injury hurt in that first half of the season, and just rolling off the momentum of our offense, who is still doing great things. That on the defensive side, you were just looking to get healthy to be able to help them, like we did the past
Right.
3 weeks, where we're holding teams for a couple stops, and then our offense takes over.
Right.
But looking at let's do this. Let's do
If we
season.
had the same
Yeah,
defense all season, if we have the defense we have right now versus Detroit,
yeah.
in week one, I don't think we're in the fight we're in right now. I
You
think we
probably
have
convert.
at minimum two more wins. At
Yeah,
minimum.
you convert two or three losses
Yeah.
to wins.
Yeah.
But looking at season outlook here, you know what? I mean, obviously, I think we know Dallas has to win out to even have a fighting chance in this.
Right.
Philadelphia would have to lose. If you were to win out, Philly has to lose 3 games for you to take over the division from them. And then outside of that, I think maybe San Francisco at 9 wins is really your best hope to lose out. Looking at their schedules, do you feel that outside of that, there's any potential playoff chances outside of us just winning out and hoping for the best?
Dude, I don't know what can happen. You look at teams. I mean, the Saints beat Tampa Bay today.
Yeah,
You know, you just don't know what can happen. Carolina beat the Rams.
yeah,
There's just so many things that can happen. Okay, so perfect example, and this is just all the parity of the NFL. You got the number one team in the AFC. They're cruising, they're unstoppable. What happened today?
yeah,
Things changed. So they're not going to finish at the top. That's clearly obvious. They are going to be a different team now that they've lost Daniel Jones.
yeah.
And there's still 4 weeks to go. So it's like so much can happen that you can't just assume that everybody who has a good record is going to maintain. One, because they all play each other, so you can't really expect that. It's a very physical game, so people get injured. you know, we won't know what's really gonna what we really have to have until week
A couple
15.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah, week 15, we'll have a better understanding of kind of where we're at and what it's going to take for us to get there. And if
yeah.
we get there, great. Um, I just want Dallas to win the rest of their games
And
because
let
I think that, yeah, and let the chips fall where they may. It builds great momentum for next year. I think the team is a good team. It's solid. Is it perfect? Nowhere near. But from where we started to where we are now, we've moved the needle significantly, and we've identified kind of what kind of football team we are offensively and defensively. And if we can just patch up a couple little things and add some talent to the roster on defense, I think we're good to go. I would recommend, kind of deciding what people's roles really are. Logan Wilson, you mentioned, is a great example. I do not like that we have so many rotational players on defense.
yeah,
Just put the best guy for the job out there because game flow matters. Getting a sense of the game and the feel and the momentum of the game as a player internally matters. So when you're snatching a guy out every other play, every other drive, it's kind of hard to get back into it. So unless their talent is just so unique to the individual that they're like you need a Phillips head instead of a flathead. You know what I mean for that
yeah,
particular play call. Then that's weird in itself. So it's like just put the best guys out there and let them play. And then on offense, it's like Turpin. You got a guy with that kind of speed, and it just seems like his speed is never utilized beneficial in a. It's we never see anything explosive off of it.
yeah,
So it's like, is he really worth taking up a receiver spot for a receiver that may offer something like physicality to take a catch and get some yards after the catch instead of taking a catch and hopefully he can be elusive and run it for 60 yards because he's faster than everybody? Because if anybody puts a hand on him, he's getting wrecked, right? And his kickoff returns have not been great. So it's
yeah.
just little things like that. Not that Turpin's a bad player; he's a great player. It's just, are we
Hmm.
utilizing him for what he is? It's just like, hey, go out here to the outside and just run straight to the end zone as fast as you can, and that's your play. And if we're not
Yeah.
using for that, then I don't know. I'm questioning everything right now. So it's like I just want to see. I want to know what the offense can do and what everybody's role is on the offense.
I think all you can ask for as a fan right now is to play the best players, figure out your depth, and if you can win out, awesome. If we can squeak into the race, and get a playoff spot, awesome. But if not, at least if you're playing your best players going into the offseason, you and I can personally take apart this team and figure out, okay, this guy, obviously he needs to be here. Hey, this guy we need to re-sign, or hey, this guy can have that potential to be that second linebacker with Overshown. Hey, these two corners work really well together. These, our safeties, the Hooker is better than Wilson, and we need to maybe look at a strong safety and a free safety. Those are the questions I'm looking for now as we start. Not saying I'm turning the page to like the off season, but the page is halfway there right now. You drop another
Right.
game, we're probably starting to have those talks. But right
Yeah,
now,
we need
I'm
to know
still
what we
fully.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a homer for the Cowboys, and I'm hoping Philly tomorrow night falls apart and they fall apart the rest of the year, and Dallas can find their way to win that division. Look, history's on our side. No one has won the division twice since the 2020 or 03, 04, or something like that. And so, praying on that history to come through. So,
Yeah. So who do you think's going to win tonight? Texas or the Chiefs? Texans or Chiefs?
man, I'm gonna say the Texans. That defense is superior right
It is
now.
stout, but it's Patrick Mahomes. So
I know.
that guy is just really. Where are they playing? I didn't catch that. Where are they playing?
I think they're playing in Kansas City.
Oh, that's Mahomes. Yeah, Chiefs win
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
in. Yeah,
Nah, I
but
don't think I don't think you're stopping Patty Moe in
at
Kansas
home
anymore.
with the
Yeah,
season on the line.
yeah, man. The chops will come in, bro. Not good. The clacker,
Oh,
yeah, the clacker, and then the tongue, and then bro, not good.
yeah. But all right, you got any final comments? Anything you need to get off your chest?
No, go Cowboys.
Yeah. So until next time, man. This is Cowboys Game Plan. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank y'all for y'all support. We'll see you for the preview.